and maybe order one in the middle of the episode. I would hate for our listeners to come back. First thing they hear on the episode of the podcast is that I was thinking about ordering a milkshake in the middle of the podcast.
Where are you getting a milkshake from?
I don't know, DoorDash something. As much as I hate DoorDash, they're actually on my vendetta list.
I want a milkshake.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great, right?
Where are you getting it from?
I was thinking Sonic, maybe.
Well, I've never had a milkshake from there.
It was kind of thick last time. I don't know.
Sick as in good or bad?
Why would I say sick as in good? I said thick.
Thick. Oh.
Yeah, like it should have been ice cream and not a milkshake, you know? I don't want effort. That's why I'm getting the milkshake. I don't want effort to get the fat, disgusting additives and toxins into my body. I just want it to be a smooth transition. Straw to belly to rectum, you know?
I don't need all that description.
Okay. Well, so anyway, it's too late now. The people know. It's fine. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're talking about Bigfoot today. It's been a while. It's been a while since the big man has made an appearance on the show, as we've been talking about many a different subject. And we're like, hey, wait a minute. Bigfoot is real.
Bigfoot is real.
So it's time to get into all that. And I don't really know what Christian has planned. As you heard the beginning of the episode, my thought process was pretty much solely concentrated on getting a milkshake of some kind so that I can treat myself like the little fatty that I am. And I'm going to do that after the episode. As a, hey, way to go. Way to get through 2 episodes. And you guys don't need to hear any of that. So that's fine. Anyway, Christian, I guess we're talking about Bigfoot.
We are talking about Bigfoot.
Beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and do that after we get on the inside. Because right now we're outside and we need to get back in. Hey, somebody let us in.
You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
And now that we're on the inside, welcome back to the show, everyone. As mentioned previously, we're discussing Bigfoot today. Bigfoot tales, those are some of the best. You know it, I know it. Who's going to deny it any longer, you know? And for the time being, while you're sitting there listening to the sweet, sultry sounds of my voice and wondering exactly what kind of milkshake did I order, be sure to check out the website, thefreakydeaky.com, where you can get some of the absolute dopest merch on the planet, and you can wear it on the dopest bodies that have ever existed, and that would be yours. That'd be yours. I know that most of our audience is elderly, and with that comes some
I was gonna say sexy.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, sexy. The sexy old folks. You know how you do. Get in there. Make it a crop top. Let's do it. Let's get really weird with it. And while you're doing that and squeezing into some of those
leather shorts,
some of that merch and leather shorts from last episode, be sure to follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod, where we actually make your dreams come true. It only works if your dream is to follow us on social media. And that's the only way it works. There is a caveat there. It's fine. So let's make those dreams come true. Anyway, Christian, I think that's it. Look how very concise of an intro that was. Wow, way to go me. I did all my job for this episode.
I approve of this message.
Okay.
I do not.
Actually, one more thing.
Holla dot baby / the freaky deaky. Now's your chance to give your life some meaning.
You heard the man. Holler.baby / the freaky deaky. Buy shoutouts or 15-second ad reads for your business and help support the show at the same time. It's what we call in the biz. You guys may not be familiar with this, but in the industry, we call that a win-win-win. It's all winning all the time. You're going to get so tired of winning? No, it's...
Oh, I thought you were going to go with like a Charlie Sheen reference.
No, it's actually a Doug Benson reference, but I know people are going to go to the other guy.
I don't even know who Doug Benson is.
Exactly. You probably know Doug Benson. Stoner comic.
I probably do.
You know that documentary Super Size Me?
I know of it.
Well, Doug Benson released one called Super High Me, where he got...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he has a podcast, and the dude is a legend. I saw him once at Town Square in Vegas. Probably one of my favorite shows.
Does he look like the Shaggy guy?
A little bit.
Okay.
He's a little chunkier.
Bags under the eyes.
Yeah, he doesn't have crazy hair, but the face, I could see Shaggy a little bit. Anyway.
All right. You ready?
Yes. If I don't hear anything of this story, it's just because I'm looking at milkshakes.
I tried to look at milkshakes, but it wouldn't show me the menu.
Well, that is pretty prevalent. What kind of, you seem like a regular vanilla kind of guy.
No, I don't like.
You seem like a regular chocolate kind of guy.
No,
You seem like a regular strawberry kind of guy.
I do like
I
strawberry.
should have guessed strawberry first. I should have. I was
Yeah.
going to.
Especially since your son and I were drinking a strawberry beverage recently.
Isn't it weird that there was someone named Daryl Strawberry?
I watched him play.
I know, but isn't it weird that his name was Strawberry?
He had one of the most beautiful left-handed swings I've ever seen in baseball.
You know what's really weird is he's a pastor now.
He should be a pastor because he
was
did a lot of
biblical.
coke.
Wow. Okay. That's one path to salvation, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the reasons, I think he got suspended from doing that because he was doing that. And I think that's one of the reasons the Dodgers let him go is because he was like partying too hard with Eric Davis.
Wow. As I praised myself for the quick intro, and then we got off to a tangent about Daryl Strawberry and milkshakes. It's fine, guys. Now we're back at the normal spot. Friendly reminder, you can find everything you need in the timestamps, and you can shut the hell up in the comments. You know what I mean? Anyway, back at it. Christian.
Also, friendly reminder, Daryl Strawberry's milkshake brought all the boys to the yard.
That's right. And it was better than ours.
All right, so we're going to start off in Vietnam with the Rock Apes of Vietnam.
Excuse me?
The Rock. Also, let me just tell you folks, I'm going to be saying some names that might be
Is it
rough.
going to be like really racist?
I don't know, man. I just don't know if I'm going to say the names. But so the Rock Apes of Vietnam, or Batoot Toot on the Dak Blah River, 1969.
Get your batoot on the Dak Blah River. Before we get too far into this, what kind of milkshakes do you like? I will get you a milkshake if you want a milkshake.
Strawberry.
Wow. That is good.
Do they put something else in there?
Probably. I don't know.
What is it? I've never had a Sonic shake.
Well, if there's a flavor that you like, then I can click that button and then they'll bring it to us. Assuming there's a
Cheesecake?
driver. You want a cheesecake milkshake?
Yeah.
Okay. I will look. You can keep going.
Okay. If not, strawberry's fine. The Dak Blah River carved a muddy scar through the Central Highlands, its banks choked with bamboo and shadow. Specialist Daniel Kowalski crouched by a half-built bridge, wrench in hand, sweat soaking his flak jacket. It was September 1969, and Kontum province was a furnace. 110 degrees, air thick with gnats and the sour tang of diesel. His engineer platoon, a ragtag crew from the 4th Infantry, had been humping girders for days, patching a crossing blown up by sappers. The jungle pressed close, a green-black wall that swallowed the sound, and the war felt like a fever dream, all mortars and ghost. Kowalski, a Chicago kid with 2 months left, kept his head down, ignoring the Montagnard porters, who whispered, "Batoot toot.
La toot toot.
Ngoy wrong, things older than war." Dusk bled across the sky, red as a wound, when the first rock landed. It splashed in a river, 10 yards off, big enough to churn the current. Kowalski looked up, squinting through the haze, figuring VC probes, kids maybe tossing stones to spook them. But the porters froze, their chatter dead, eyes flicking to the trees. Another rock came, closer, cracking a crate of bolts. No laughter, no taunts, just a low hoot, guttural, rolling like thunder, trapped in a throat. Kowalski's spine prickled. He'd heard monkeys, gibbons screaming at dawn, but this was heavier, alive with intent. "Eyes out," barked Sergeant Ruiz, his M16 up, scanning the far bank. The platoon spread low, tools swapped for rifles, but the jungle gave nothing. There were vines, mist, and silent. Kowalski knelt by a pylon when a third rock grazed the bridge, pinging steel like a shot. He swung his flashlight, beam cutting the gloom, and froze. There on the opposite shore stood a figure 6 feet tall, maybe more, its reddish-brown hair matted with mud, glinting in the last light. But toot-toot, the porter's word, hissed among them now. Its arms hung long, knuckles brushing the dirt, and its belly jutted, broad and round like a barrel. The face was wrong, flat, human-like, but eyes deep set, and they were locking on Kowalski like he trespassed a church. Nobody moved. The air turned foul, a stench like wet dog, rotting mangoes.
Rotting mangoes.
Thick enough to gag. That's not tasty.
That is like the first I've ever heard that used as a descriptive for a smell. Maybe I've never smelled rotting mangoes, but
I don't know if I have either. Kowalski's fingers tightened on his rifle, but Ruiz hissed, Hold fire. The Batoot shifted, slowed, deliberate, and hooted again. Louder, answered by a second call, fainter, deep in the jungle. Kowalski's breath caught more than one. The porters muttered prayers, beads clicking as the creature bent, snatched a rock, fist-sized, jagged, and hurled it. It splashed at Kowalski's feet, spraying cold on his face. Not aimed to kill, but to warn. He stumbled back, boots slipping, and the thing stood taller, chest heaving, eyes never leaving his. Ruiz whispered for a flare. Private Ellis popped one, red light blooming, painting the river bloody. The Batoot didn't flinch, just growled, a deep rattling sound that shook Kowalski's ribs. Its lips curled, bearing teeth too wide, too blunt for a monkey. Also, monkeys aren't 6 feet, my comment. Another rock came arcing high, smashing a sandbag near Ruiz, spilling dirt. The platoon tensed, fingers twitching, but the creature held its ground, swaying like it was daring them. Kowalski smelled it now, musk and decay, clinging to his skin like damp cloth. The flare died and the Batoot moved, not toward them, but sideways, looping along the bank, silent for its bulk. It stopped once.
Loudest sound. I was watching it. I pushed my mic away from me and I was watching the sound and just a giant spike right there. I'm like, whoopsie.
That might be the loudest opening I've ever heard.
Okay, no, you take the cake every single week.
Even I heard that one through the earphones.
You know what's weird is it actually looks bigger on yours for some reason. And your mic is like 10 feet away.
I heard it pretty loud over here. It stopped once, turning back, and hooted, a long mournful wail that curled through the dark. Joined by others, a chorus fading into the trees. Then it was gone, swallowed by the jungle's black maw. The rock stopped, the air cleared, but Kowalski's pulse didn't slow. He stood, legs like jelly, staring at the empty bank.
Knees weak, legs like jelly. No, it's fine. It's not an Eminem reference. Or lyric for that matter. Weird interjection by me.
That is.
Maybe people are right. Maybe I am just.
Shut up.
I was going to say the R word.
Stop it.
People would lose their mind.
Ruiz cursed, ordering silence, but the porters wouldn't move, their faces gray, muttering of spirits who guard the wild. Nobody slept. Kowalski took first watch, rifle slick in his hands, every rustle a threat. At midnight he heard it again, a faint hoot, high on the ridge, answered across the river. No rocks, no shapes, just that call. He didn't tell Ruiz. The man's eyes said he'd heard it too. Dawn broke, sluggish and wet, and Kowalski checked the far bank, boots sinking into the mud. He found prints. They were broad, 5-toed, and bigger than his hand. And they trailed from the water to the trees, deep enough to hold water. Nearby, a bamboo stalk snapped at 7 feet, clean, no machetes work. A pile of stones lay stacked, deliberate, like a marker no one dared touch. The porters refused to cross, muttering Batoot's name, saying the river was theirs, not man's. Kowalski's platoon finished the bridge, but the air stayed heavy, the stench lingering in pockets where the wind didn't reach. He reported it to his lieutenant, a wiry Texan who spat and said jungle plays tricks. So Kowalski didn't push, and nobody wanted paperwork for Ghost. The Montagnards told him later over rice wine of Ngui Rung, who walk when war stirs their ground, throwing rocks to drive men off. They'd seen Prince before, they said, always near rivers, always gone by noon.
They saw Prince there? Was he singing Purple Rain?
He was not singing Purple Rain. It was Wind Dove's Cry.
Oh, classic. Well, that's a great choice as well.
Yeah, that's better choice than Purple Rain.
Sure.
Kowalski rotated out that fall back to Chicago's concrete. But the Dak Blah stayed with him. He kept a pebble from that night, smooth, heavy, the one that splashed his boots, on his dresser, a weight he couldn't explain. The bridge held, he'd heard, but patrols avoided it after dark, swearing they heard hoots and smelled that musk. Years later, he told his story to a writer, voice low, hand steady, but eyes distant. He didn't care if they believed him. It was those eyes and that stench, the rocks.
These eyes.
They were realer than the war itself.
That's pretty real, considering.
Yeah. So what do you think? You never heard of the Rock Apes before?
I have not heard of the Rock Apes.
That's just one story. I mean, there were a lot of things that came out of Vietnam about these guys.
Sounds like a boss battle on Donkey Kong.
It could be. I mean, maybe. And we can go at another time on other stories about the Rock Apes, but look them up.
Is there a lot of stories about Rock Apes?
There's just some different reports from different platoons and soldiers in that area, and then the native people of that area have had these stories about a creature that is similar to Bigfoot, but obviously in Asia and hanging out in the humid jungles and throwing rocks at U.S. soldiers.
Which is something that we still hear about to this day as far as the rock hurling goes.
Right. It's always been a thing.
Yeah. We even had our boy Kenny send in a story. He's experienced a rock being thrown in his direction himself. Remember? Hiking.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that is wild. That gets me every damn time. I can't get into it because I'll go into like a 20-minute tangent about how can this thing be so accurate about throwing stones.
But that's part of their
sex appeal.
It might be to some people. I mean,
yeah,
those people that read Bigfoot porn from Amazon, but I mean, that's what they do to warn people off. And it sounds like that's what they've always done, because even old stories we hear about the rock throwing. And if that's that important to your culture, you're going to become pretty good at it.
Hell yeah.
Maybe not as good as Daryl Strawberry.
Probably not. Speaking of which, I did find you a strawberry cheesecake shake. So there you go. Boom. Best of both worlds for you.
Since we spent the first part of this episode in Vietnam, I figured we'd bring it back to the States. We're going to go, I'm trying to figure out how to say this word.
Massapequa.
We're going to be near Yakima in 1994, Washington State. Now, I think this is the name that this group of people call this creature, and it's the Chiye-Tanka.
The what now?
Chiye-Tanka, which sounds similar to some other names I've heard for Bigfoot.
Interesting.
So we'll find out as you guys can tell me what you think as we go through the story. Dust clung to the air as the pickup rattled down the Toppenish back road, headlights slicing through the Yakima night. The tribal hunter gripped the wheel, tired from a long day, the radio splitting static between the hum of crickets.
Start of a country song. I could actually hear it in my head.
Please don't write it. No country on this podcast.
Sorry, Teresa.
Yeah, I apologize. It was late, moonless, the kind of dark that makes the world feel smaller or bigger, depending on who's watching or what's watching. He was almost home when something crossed the road, swift and massive, a shadow that didn't belong. He slammed the brakes. The figure stopped just beyond the beams.
Just beyond the beans?
Beams.
Oh.
And your beans.
I was like, wow, dude, weird.
And here we go at my attempt of saying this name, the Chiye-Tanka.
Okay.
It was his grandmother's name for the mountain keepers. It towered maybe 10 feet. Its reddish fur catching the light like rust on iron. The long arms hung loose, fingers brushing the ground, and its chest rose slow, deliberate, like it owned the night. The hunter's throat tightened. He'd heard stories, sure, but this was no story. This was real, solid, its silhouette sharp against the sagebrush. It moved again, crossing the road in 2 strides, silent as a ghost. The air turned heavy, laced with the musky tang that stung his nose, like sweat and wild earth mixed.
Man, we got old mangoes. We got musky tang. Hell yeah, dude. These are the best descriptors I've ever heard for Bigfoot stank. Give me some of that musky tang.
From, I can't make a perfume joke out of that one. He leaned forward, eyes straining, but the Chiye-Tanka didn't look back. It slipped into the scrub, gone before he could blink. The truck idled, heat ticking off the engine, while he just sat frozen, waiting for his hands to stop trembling. Morning brought him back, boots crunching along the roadside. No tracks, no fur. Just a sapling snapped at 6 feet, its brake clean and high. He told the tribal council, voice low, expecting laughter. They didn't laugh. Others had seen it, they said. Hunters mostly, always at night, always quick. The hunter now drives a different route. But sometimes he smells that musk again, and the road feels less empty. I find it interesting that his grandmother called this type of creature mountain keepers.
What do you think that means? They just live on the mountain?
I think they live on the mountain, and the people that live around the mountain tend to feel that they take care of the mountain, and that's why they call it the mountain keepers. Maybe they keep it safe, or they...
There's a lot of similar, like with the forest folk, that they're like, they protect the forests or whatever, these forest spirits that...
Which is probably needed, because when we look around the world and through time at what humans do to forest... Sometimes they need a little protecting. Sometimes we need rocks thrown at us, the fear of nature in us.
In the middle of you probably telling the next story, I'm going to have to get up and go grab the food and bring it inside and then come back in here.
You got food too?
Just a couple of
You didn't tell me nothing
Fritos.
about food.
Fritos burrito things.
You know what I had to eat today?
Huh.
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its, yeah, that's right.
That your grandson gave me.
Yeah, and
Or my grandson gave me. Your son gave me.
Well, I just wanted a milkshake, but I wasn't going to make someone literally just bring 2 milkshakes. I feel like they'd be like, really, dude? So I put a couple like tiny burritos and stuff on it.
A DoorDasher dropped off something at work. I think it was Tuesday. It was 1 quesadilla.
Yeah.
Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
She didn't even ask me if I wanted a quesadilla.
Yeah, I know I'm getting that same treatment right now.
All right, here we go with another name, the Chiye-Tanka in Black Hills.
Is this episode just different names for Bigfoot?
I guess they're local names in some of these.
I wasn't sure. It's fine.
So we're in South Dakota, 1987.
Way to go, us.
Dawn broke cold over the Black Hills, painting the pines in streaks of golden shadow. The Lakota rancher rode slow, breath fogging as he checked his cattle fences near Pine Ridge. Feel like Yellowstone's being described to me.
A little bit.
His horse snorted, uneasy, hooves scuffling the frost. He'd been out since before light, as he should be, because he's a rancher. A routine carved from years, but everything felt off, like the land was holding a secret. He spotted it near a gully, at first thinking bear. Then it stood, 9 feet tall, broad as 2 men, its dark matted hair swallowing. I feel like with all these different names, there might be more info out there if we know what to look for.
Yeah, if you have all the local names for these things.
Yep.
Well, hold on a second. I'm just going to restart this because it's very hard to see what's happening.
He spotted it near a gully, at first thinking bear. Then it stood, 9 feet tall, broad as 2 men, its dark matted hair swallowing the light. Chiye-Tanka, his people called it, a spirit of the plains, no mere animal. Its arms hung heavy, swaying as it turned to face him. The rancher's horse shied, but he held the reins tight, meeting its gaze. Its eyes were deep, unyielding, like they saw through him to the bones of the earth. It did move toward him, just stood, chest rising slow, a wall of muscle and fur.
Oh, yeah.
Sexy. Then it turned, loping into the ravine with a speed that mocked its size, gone in a heartbeat, leaving only the crunch of pine needles. The rancher dismounted. Ranchers are hard-ass people. I'm like, I would have been scared.
Crying, peeing myself. There are options.
Yeah.
Dismounting my horse is not one of them.
Yeah. Here's his legs unsteady and checked the ground. Shallow prints, 18 inches long, pressed into the mud, too wide for any bear, and the air carried a faint, sour whiff, like damp hides left too long.
Wow.
He told the story at a community fire, voice steady but low. The elders listened, faces grave. Chiye-Tanka walks when land's uneasy, they said, a warning to tread light. He still rides those hills, but he carries a prayer now. And when the winds shift, he feels those eyes again, watching from the dark beyond dawn.
These eyes?
You're really into these eyes. I don't even know what song that is.
Really? I think I know from Superbad.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that movie.
But then after hearing the song, I'm like, that sounds like a song that I'd actually enjoy listening to. And it turns out I did.
It's not very good.
Yeah.
Like most of the songs you listen to. How's that feel? Because that's all you ever say to me.
Oh, that your music is absolute garbage?
My music is just music. It's just not your music.
I'm not saying all your music is garbage. I'm just saying the vast majority of it. We agree on certain bands, you know?
Like what?
See, that's how bad it is. I can't think of one. Creed, for sure.
We definitely do not. Oh, yeah. They're like the worst band ever. The only one that might outdo them is Nickelback.
Nickelback, obviously. Yeah, but see, Creed isn't even the worst band. That's the thing, you know?
Second worst.
No, because the more you hate it, the more you kind of understand it.
I don't.
It's like the longer I'm like, I can't do this. And then Scott Stapp was like, I will take it, you know? And it takes me higher, Christian. I just can't turn back anymore.
I'll stick with Eddie Vedder.
Okay. You can do that.
Not want to be Eddie. Trying to do pop grunge like.
Pop grunge? Wow. Are we back on this?
No, we're going to.
I'm sure someone has hated it or hate commented about me saying that pop is.
Pop is pop.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine.
By that point, hey, if you don't get it, you don't get it.
I have Katy Perry on my Jim playlist.
Who's Jim?
Jim. G-Y-M, Jim.
J-I-M? People are probably wanting more Bigfoot at this point.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the hairy man at Tule River.
Back during one of my family vacations.
Maybe, but it was before you were born because it was before I was born in the 1960s.
A rather hairy man across the river.
The Sierra foothills hummed with evening heat, wildflowers fading under a bruised sky. The Yukit's elder moved slow, gathering herbs in a basket, her steps sure on the Tule River's banks. She knew this grove, its oaks, its secret, better than her own hands. But as the light bled away, a chill settled, sharp and sudden, like the world had turned its back. A crunch broke the quiet, heavy, not deer or fox. She turned, basket slipping away, and saw it, the hairy man. Her father's whispered warning, half hidden behind an oak. 7 feet tall, its human-like face peered out, eyes deep and dark, hair long and matted like moss. She stood, heart thudding, remembering his words, "Don't run. Fuck that, I'm out." And here we will get our obligatory, for this episode, smell. The air thickened, smelling of earth and something wilder, untamed.
What's wilder than untamed earth? You tell me that right now. What is it?
Untamed fire? Or
Maybe.
wind?
Wow. Earth, wind, and fire.
Yep.
Great.
It grunted, soft, like a question, then stepped back, snapping a branch at 7 feet high. Its gaze held hers, curious, not cruel. Before it retreated, fading into the dusk. The grove went silent again, save for her shallow breath. Morning showed prints, of course, 17 inches, ridged like a man's, but too big. She told her family, voice calm but firm. They nodded, unsurprised. "Hairy man watches," they said, "but doesn't harm the respectful." I still like the tone of, the mountain watchers or whatever we said earlier, and
Mountain keepers or something,
mountain
right?
keepers, much better than what I said. And that, like, this one is respectful to those that respect it, which I think throughout a lot of our Bigfoot stories, in a lot of cases, we've come across ones that were surprisingly intelligent and respectful at the same time. I mean, we kind of would expect them to be intelligent, but
not respectful.
Well, it's when you're a human, and us humans don't tend to be the nicest creatures in the world. Maybe expect something maybe human-like to maybe have some of our same characteristics. And these guys are like, "Hey man, just don't mess up my forest."
Yeah, my forest. Like, I just can't imagine.
Or jungle. Because if you mess up my jungle, I'll hit you with a rock.
That does happen.
I don't remember this one, but this one's called the Whistling Sasquatch, which we already know to never whistle at night.
Unless it's to the Whistling Sasquatch.
No, that I feel that this is connected to not whistling at night. And this one takes place in one of the home provinces of our Canadian fans in British Columbia.
Calling them fans is weird, but listeners,
I'm a Leo.
that is true. I don't think anyone's fans of what we do. I think they're just like, "Hey, let's hang out," They're like, "Hey, I would hang out with that guy. I'd have a brewski with that fella."
I'm his only fan.
.com/ no. Yeah. It's desperate times we're entering, fellas.
Yep, the economy.
You like feet pics? Bigfoot pics. You like that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got your Sasquatch feet.
How hilarious would it be if we actually set up an OnlyFans account and just uploaded pictures of Bigfoot, or like you in the woods in a Bigfoot costume, completely original. Like, it's 99 cents a month for weird pictures of Christian wearing the Bigfoot suit.
Find somebody to make us some high heels.
There you go.
That's so wrong.
I just want to picture someone like stumbling across that and be like, "What?" Like, what is, I was looking for something completely different. What is this?
You need to cut that part out in case we do it, because someone will steal that idea, and that's hilarious. Just to throw it out there and not tell anybody and see what happens.
Yeah, somebody already stole Strange Highness. Not cool.
All right. So twilight draped the Chehalis forest. The hunter moved quiet, tracking deer through the damp underbrush, rifle slung low. The air was thick with cedar and moss, but a prickle on his neck told him he wasn't alone. He'd hunted these woods since he was a boy, knew every trail, every snap of a twig. Tonight, though, the silence pressed too hard, like it was waiting. Have you ever been out like in the forest and it gets really silent and it's creepy? I don't know how often you grew up in California in the desert,
Yeah.
so I don't know how often you went out to the forest.
Not the forest, the desert. Yeah. I've experienced something similar in the desert.
Yeah, the desert, like, I think it can be spooky, but you don't have, like, you can usually see farther.
Yeah.
So you feel a little bit better.
That's the advantage, is that you can actually have some kind of understanding of what may be looking at you.
Yeah, in the forest, you just have no clue sometimes.
No, but that is one of the key things about Sasquatch encounters is people are usually like, everything goes quiet.
Yeah.
And this dank, dirty old musty, moldy mango.
Now, I've been in the forest when everything's gone quiet and kind of noticed, but I was younger, so I didn't.
Back when you believed.
It might have been it could have just been a predator.
Yeah.
Of some sort of
Did
bear.
you ever think it was Bigfoot? Like, you used to like that stuff, right?
No, luckily, a lot of the time I was out somewhere where it was really spooky in the forest with my dad. It was before I knew about Bigfoot.
Yeah. Can you imagine your dad if you're like, Dad, is that Bigfoot? Is that Bigfoot out there?
No, he'd be like, no, I would have shot it.
Be dragging him home.
A whistle sliced through, sharp, not a bird, not a human. He froze, scanning the creek ahead. There, crouched by the water, was a Siatko, the Chehalis name for the forest shadow. 8 feet tall, if it stood, its grayish fur gleamed faintly, blending with the dusk. Broad shoulders hunched. It seemed to study the ripples, unaware of him. Or maybe it knew its stillness was unnerving, a predator's calm, and its eyes, when they flicked his way, burned like coals in the half-light. The hunter's breath caught, fingers tight on his rifle, but he didn't raise it. Siatko shifted, head turning slow, and locked its gaze on him. No growl, no charge, just a weight in that stare, like it was measuring his soul. Then it rose, smooth and silent, and slipped into the brush, gone without a trace. A foul stench hit him, sharp and rancid, curling in his throat. He stood rooted till his legs steadied, the creek's gurgle his only company. Dawn showed nothing, no prints, no broken stems, just that smell lingering like a warning. He told the elders, voice low over tea. They nodded, unsurprised. Siatko tests hunters, they said, to see if they honor the land. He still hunts, but that creek's off limits now. Its quiet too heavy, its shadows too deep.
Are they saying that the Bigfoot doesn't like hunters?
I think it tests the hunters because I think, okay, let's just go with Bigfoot's always been around.
Let's just go with it.
And Bigfoot's always been around in North America, especially British Columbia and that part of the U.S.
Let's go with that too.
It's known about hunters for maybe 10,000 years since people came to the Americas and hunted. We don't have a ton of stories throughout the years from native cultures telling us Bigfoot killed all these people. We have a few, some up here in Alaska.
Plenty, yes.
Yeah. But in most places, it's not quite like that. It's more like you can hunt, just don't be a jackass about it.
Yeah.
There's rules to hunting. You hunt to help you survive. You don't maybe if you're a trophy hunter, the Bigfoot knows, or maybe if you aim your gun at the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch, he knows. And you might want to get out of that forest pretty quick.
Yeah. There's stories of people that have killed them. Shot one. Oh, I killed Bigfoot. Tony used to have a bunch of those guys on.
And I hope every single one of them suffers a long and excruciatingly bad life, because that's not cool, man.
That's not... Wow. So went from super aggressive to like hella hippie and just said, that's not cool. Hey, I hope you die, bitch. And then that's because that's not cool, dude. Yeah. Not cool, my man.
A little of the hockey me slipped in there for a second. I had to rein it under control.
Daisy. Let me pick that back out. It's fine.
So kind of makes sense. So I kind of would like the sound of a Bigfoot that kind of keeps us in check when we do our stupid stuff we sometimes do.
Yeah. But do you think that Bigfoot, like if we're in danger of a predator, that Bigfoot come out and save us? Probably not.
I mean,
you just watch you get eaten by a bear or something like, didn't work out well for that
if you
guy.
get eaten by a bear, the Bigfoot judged you unworthy, because we've heard stories on this show.
He wouldn't judge the bear and be like, well, Greg, really?
I mean, the bear is just being a bear.
Yeah.
To me, a Sasquatch wouldn't necessarily have a problem with the animals other than maybe hunting and wherever they're hunting or being a danger to them. But like bears don't usually mess with us. They will, but they don't. Imagine going up against a 6-foot hairy creature that the bear probably knows about. Bear probably don't mess with Sasquatch unless bear is really
You
hungry.
think Bigfoot's only 6 foot?
7 foot. Starting at 7 foot a lot of times is where we hear.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
either
'cause
way,
Bigfoot being 6 foot, hey, guess what? That's not very scary. Sorry.
but it's pure muscle.
Still not that scary.
Yeah. When it rips your head off, it would be scary because we've
Not
heard
for
those
too
stories.
long, though, because I'd be dead.
That's
you
true.
know.
He'd be holding you up like you're executed in England for being a Protestant,
Wow. Classic.
and your eyes are blinking as Bigfoot's like
Wow. Getting pretty dark there.
knocking trees with your head.
Yeah. And that ankle, man. Yeah. Yeah.
This
So-
is where the original tree knocking came from. Guy that
Oh, yeah.
respect
Just
the
some
mountain.
dude's skull. Yeah. So we're out
That
here
would
trying
be-
to mimic it with sticks. Isn't this so cool?
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
You might have solved it, to be honest. You know, you never really know.
All right, I think I was going to do.
Never made it as a wise man. Yeah.
Please stop torturing me, or I'll send Bigfoot after you.
Couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Or what?
Oh my gosh!
I don't know. I don't know what the lyrics are, but that song.
Ooh, we're going to Alaska on this one.
Well, don't have to go too far. We're literally sitting on Alaska right now.
This one's somewhat recent.
Ooh.
We're probably going to have a second Bigfoot. I have a lot of stories.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with Bigfoot episodes, Christian.
Yeah.
The people love them.
All right. This one we'll just call Nagani. Wait, Nakani. Wait, for some reason,
Alani?
I just feel like I lost how to pronounce the K.
The what?
The K.
The gay?
K.
Oh.
I'm like, do you ever have that moment where you're saying something, you're like, I've done this for 50 something years.
What are we trying to pronounce?
Nakani.
Nakani. Nakani. Wow. It's Italian.
So this is 2010 in Alaska. So let me tell you a story about Alaska, where Bigfoot kills you and uses your head to knock on a tree. We already talked about that.
We did. Yeah, we covered that part.
Yeah. The Yukon spruce stood sentinel, dusted with snow, under a fading November sky.
Oh.
And here we go. I'm going to try to say a tribal name that I'd never heard. Quichin Hunter. Remember that time we got ripped because we couldn't say a native name?
That one time? Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what
that was,
the hell?
That was on TikTok.
Yeah. I was
And
like,
you can expect nothing more than that on TikTok. It's either the absolute worst, craziest people, or it is just people that are looking to cancel you for anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Anything.
So we apologize.
No, we don't. We
I do
didn't.
because I don't know how to say this name, so I'm
Oh.
going to try.
I
I'm
think
gonna-
you're apologizing to the TikTokers. I'm like, no.
Actually, my dad and mom should apologize because I'm about to sound it out like they always
Wow,
told me.
the
And
phonics.
at about 10 years old, I'm like, that doesn't always work.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it here. The Quichin hunter knelt by a moose carcass, knife flashing as he worked. His dogs tethered nearby, salivating. I added that part.
Wow, weird.
Dusk was creeping, cold and gray, when the dogs whined. Hackles up, staring at the clearing. He paused, breath fogging, sensing the shift before he saw it. Across the snow, a Nakani bushman, as people said, stood dead still, over 8 feet tall, dark fur stark against the white. Its face was wrong, half human, half beast, eyes glinting like ice under moonlight. It was snapping branches, stacking them neat, deliberate like a marker. He raised his rifle, not to shoot, but to see, and it froze, locking eyes. A sharp bark split the air, short and raw, then it sprinted, gone in seconds, a blur through the trees. The hunter's dogs cowered, silent now. He checked the ground, and there were 19-inch prints. The air held a faint musk, of course, like wet fur and earth. I feel like we've heard that one.
Wet fern earth.
He told the story at potluck, voice low, firelight flickering. Others nodded, sharing whispers of Nakani watching, always quick. He hunts still, but not there.
The sound I made?
The sound the Nakani made, or Bigfoot made.
The whistle, the sharp whistle.
It was something else. That was the other story. Sharp bark, which is,
What is that?
which we normally attribute to dogs,
Hmm.
but a prairie dog barks and a lot of apes bark.
Yeah.
It's just a one of their sounds they make. It comes out as a bark.
Wow.
So do you feel like through all the stories we've talked about and all the things you've read about,
Yeah.
that Sasquatch is closer to human or closer to ape?
I guess I've always personally thought closer to human, just based on the interactions from the stories. But I have heard like ape-like, you know?
And I felt kind of similar. It's closer to human,
Hmm.
but also like
Can it be on case-by-case basis, though?
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
If you think about humanity, there's some of us that are closer to apes than, humans. If you know what I mean, like personality-wise, like everyone has a certain demeanor. There's serial killers. We have
serial killers are not ape-like.
You wouldn't say that they're ape-like in the way that they manage their emotions?
No.
You don't think losing control is an ape-like characteristic? Can't that be the same for like an intelligent?
I think that characteristic is maybe embellished a little bit in some of the writings that we've read about gorillas. I think gorillas they can be protective and
Someone's
aggressive.
Someone's going to hear that rant that description I just had and think that I'm absolutely batshit insane. But I swear to you, the actual core of it makes sense if you get down there. I'm saying that
I think I know what you're trying to say.
We're on a spectrum of craziness, right? Some of us are more humans and rational. Some of us are more apes and just animals, isn't it possible that that's the same with the Bigfoot?
The only animal I would put in the same league as humans as far as how bad they are would be maybe hyenas.
Humans and hyenas?
Yeah, because
they're deceptive and they betray?
Yeah. I'm just I think I generally like humans. I think you know that about me. Maybe our listeners don't.
Weird flex, but yeah.
But we're a little batshit sometimes. And all of us are capable of it. And all of us have done it.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying is we're kind of taking this way out. All I was saying is that Bigfoot can have Bigfoot that are chill and kind of more wholesome and be like, oh, I'm protecting people, making sure everything's going kosher. And then we can have crazy Bigfoot that are throwing stones and everything like that. And so it's easy to say, well, I think they're more human or they're more ape-like. But in this instance, you're like, it could just be they have different personalities and across the board.
I would agree with that because we always joke about and what we hear about living up here in Alaska is up here, they're pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And I still remember that one story.
Which checks out for the record.
Yeah. We did about a guy, an archaeologist up on the coast somewhere near the villages up here in northern Alaska, I think it was. They found that ancient, kind of a settlement for the natives of the area, and they found all that evidence that it had been attacked by Bigfoot. Remember that one, including big arrows that were too big for a normal human to fire.
I think I do remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So but also we deserve it sometime. We're going to destroy their homeland because that's.
I mean, we're not really here for the pros and cons as far as from
that's true.
Environmental perspective. I'm really more or less for the Bigfoot, and I just want to say some are probably crazy and some are probably nice.
No, like humans. I forgot what even got us on that subject.
I think it was me saying that.
Oh, because I was mentioning the barking.
Yeah. Oopsie.
And then I asked, is it closer to human? Yeah. I think it's a missing link.
Ugh, that's such a tired...
Like a Neanderthal or something.
Yeah, but that's something that has not even ever been proven, that exists. It's just kind of a...
Neanderthals existed.
Are we going to go there, though?
No, we don't need to because we have proof. But either way,
what if there's Bigfoot?
I mean, it could be a lot of people theorize. I still struggle thinking that Bigfoot or Sasquatch exists now.
I know, but you do your best.
But I do believe that this creature has existed within the last 200-300 years at least.
Yeah.
Because there's too many native stories from the U.S. and Canada, even down in some places in South America.
Sure.
Also parts of Europe back in the day and Asia. So I feel like something like this has been around. Whether it was the Gigantopithecus or something like that.
That would be fun to see, but I don't think it's that.
Because it doesn't really act like a gorilla. In my understanding on the Gigantopithecus. Yeah, it either acted like a gorilla or an orangutan.
Yeah, orangutan is the one I usually hear.
Yeah, which is far from what we see any Bigfoot stories.
Can you imagine seeing an orangutan that big, though? Wouldn't that be bonkers?
I think orangutans are one of the ugliest.
They are. So imagine
they are the ugliest ape.
Yeah.
But yeah, no thank you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I would think of? I'd think of the smart guy from Planet of the Apes that was an orangutan. I think Paul Giamatti played him in the Marky Mark one.
Paul Giamatti. Wow. We've probably got time for one more story, so let's take her home.
All right.
Country roads.
We're going to go
the place we belong.
I'm going to go John
Please
Denver.
Be West Virginia. Is it West Virginia?
Mountain Mama.
No, are you going to West Virginia with a story? Would
No.
have been the perfect.
Oh, that
damn
would
it.
have been.
That would have been so good. We can pretend in our hearts, folks.
You want to go to let's go to North Carolina. It's kind of close.
There you go. We'll take it.
I kind of like all the weird names, but we're just going to call it this one. Bigfoot in the Smoky Mountains. Miscoiled thick over Klingman's dome.
Excuse me?
Klingman was obviously bald-headed, and he was sitting at a campfire, so smoke was thick over his dome.
Oh.
No, actually, I think it's either way. We're going to start
I
over.
don't think you know what it is.
Just
either.
know just know Klingman's dome is not what I described.
Is that like a mountain? Maybe?
Probably,
Yeah.
probably a mountain that's rock.
Like Half Dome? Yeah, Klingman's Dome.
Yeah. And
Worst name for a mountain ever. I hope it's not true.
some white guy came in and said, "This is no longer what the natives call it. I'm calling it Klingman's dome."
There you go.
So miscoiled thick over Klingman's dome. We're in the Smokies, and we're under a starless sky. The Cherokee hiker sat in his tent, flashlight dim, the air damp with pine and earth.
A man coughs in the distance.
An echo of his former life that he sacrificed to Bigfoot. Midnight was long gone, the kind of hour where the world feels thin. We've always felt that in this podcast. He'd camped up here before and loved the solitude, but tonight it felt like a trap. His tent shook hard, not wind.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he was alone.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's fine. I'm not here to judge.
He scrambled out, beam sweeping, and caught a glimpse, and this is what he called it, the Sol Kalu. Tsulkalu is how it's spelled.
Suakalu. Suakalu.
He's a slant-eyed giant of tribal lore.
Wow. A little.
You can take
A
that
little
whatever you
racy.
want to, but he's a slant-eyed giant of tribal lore. I'm not saying people.
Okay.
So you can take your whatever you want to call it. If you want to come at me,
Hey.
bro.
Come at him, bro.
So it was.
Is Christian racist now, huh?
Don't make me bring the Sol Kalu into this.
Well, we'll bring Suakalu.
Because he's 9 feet tall with reddish hair glowing like embers in the dark.
Huh.
You don't want to mess with this ginger.
Wow. Caillou.
It stood at the clearing's edge, growling low, a rumble that sank into his bones. I think that's always fascinating, too. There's certain growls they do where
It's the infrasound.
you can feel it.
It's like a lion.
Dogs do it, too, sometimes, though. Like when they get that growl, don't mess with that dog.
I haven't ever heard a dog have infrasound. I've heard low growls and stuff, but stuff that'll actually like vibrate your chest. I don't
Maybe
think I've had that from a dog.
I've seen a couple big dogs do something similar.
Big dog? Couple big dogs?
Can I pet that dog? Sorry.
Weird.
Sorry.
Weird place to take that, Christian.
Yeah. Its arms hung heavy, swaying as mist curled around its bulk. Sol Kalu didn't move closer, just watched, its gaze a weight heavier than fog. The air turned sharp, like wet Führer. Yeah. I was thinking Grant Führer, the famous
So was
goalie.
I, ironically, for a moment there.
Its gaze a weight heavier than the fog. The air turned sharp like wet fur and clay. Then it lumbered off, snapping branches, gone into the haze. Morning showed prints 19 inches deep and a deer carcass torn wide, too raw for bears. He told his aunt, a storyteller, voice unsteady. Sol Kalu guards the peak, she said. He hikes lower trails now, but when mist rolls in, that growl echoes, and the Smokies feel too close.
Get away from me, mountains. You're too close. So what was it? Soul Caillou? Wait, no. Caillou's a children's TV show. Definitely wasn't Caillou.
No.
Okay. Suakalu? Was it Kalu?
Sol Kalu.
Soul Kalu. Interesting.
I think sometimes these stories kind of had a similar theme, at least among like native cultures, where
Yeah.
it was like not necessarily a bad thing. And that's where I love getting hearing more of an Aboriginal point of view in a lot of these stories, whether it's in the US or Canada
Sure.
or somewhere else, because there's like a history there. These people have dealt with or talked about this thing forever, basically, since since they were just using oral traditions.
Oh, yeah.
And I always just find the native stories fascinating. I remember there was a Canadian one where in the past, this group of natives could actually speak with the Sasquatch and they could understand each other.
Yeah.
And then,
I think I remember you mentioning that.
and
too.
somebody did something wrong, the communication was cut and there was no more trust.
That was over a kayak or something, right?
That was a different story.
But similar, yeah.
Right. But same thing. It's like that. And the kayak story was little people.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We talked about it when Morgan was here.
I don't remember that, Christian. It would appear that you have me at a disadvantage. I don't remember what you're talking about.
That's okay, man.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on these stories?
Do you believe when you have like tribes people and everything that pass down these stories as oral tradition, do you believe them?
There are some of their stories that I tend to believe.
So you don't just think it's like, oh, well, that's a cool story, bro. You know, like do you actually believe that what they're saying in the stories are things that they saw?
Yes. Like there's some stories you hear about. I don't necessarily hear it about Sasquatch, but you know, like Asian stories about not falling asleep next to the river or the lake because the creature will come out and take you. Those are obvious stories to protect your children in a lot of cases. But I don't hear those type of stories as much when it comes to Bigfoot or Sasquatch. It's more of a respect thing because they're a highly intelligent creature, which I think humans would be better to respect most animals anyway.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard when we use them as food in a massive consuming way. We don't.
When did we start eating Sasquatch?
I'm just saying we should treat all animals better, but a lot but we use them for food too. It's a little hard.
What is this episode brought to us by PETA now, Christian? Come on.
That's not what I mean. And
I'm just kidding. We have a ton of vegetarian listeners.
It's not even about vegetarian.
It's fine, guys. If you want to eat your leafy greens, that's fine. If Christian wants to cut into a steak, it's fine.
I have a little issue lately.
Oh, yeah?
Steak and chicken, every time I've had it for the last 3 months.
Explosive diarrhea?
No, it just tastes gross.
Really?
I'm like,
that's not great.
I can't be a vegetarian. I don't like their food.
Have you tried snake?
I would never try snake. They would haunt my dreams. I'm afraid of snakes, man.
Wow.
Have you tried snake?
Yes, 5th grade. I was 10 years old.
Why?
Because I was dissecting it, Christian, and the offer stood, hey, do you want to cook up some of that meat? Give yourself a little tasty treat. And I said, hell yeah. And it did. And it tastes like chicken, would you believe it? 10 years old, very adventurous. What happened? You know? Mainly time.
Keep someone slipping.
Into the future, no doubt. Yes. Well, those are interesting. What was your favorite story that you shared?
I mean, I've always liked the Rock Ape stories because that's like, could you imagine Bigfoot in a war zone like that in the jungles?
I can.
And that's just crazy to me.
It's pretty crazy.
And to be a U.S. soldier, experience something like that when you're experiencing the tragedies of war to begin with.
You're like, damn it, now Bigfoot too? And he's a rock ape?
Yeah, he's throwing rocks at me? That's just not cool, man. Shoot at me like everybody else.
There was 3.
How'd you lose your friend? He was hit in the head by a rock. Bigfoot threw it. Yeah. What?
The Rock Apes, they got me.
Yeah, but he's a soldier. Well, Bigfoot has a good arm.
That's what happens sometimes.
He should play right field for the Dodgers.
Wow. There you go. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. And we need to do more Bigfoot story episodes, it turns out. I think the theme of this episode was that everyone everywhere has a different nickname for Bigfoot.
Which makes sense.
But that's also really weird to think about, that every culture, somehow they're like, I saw this thing and my grandparents called it Kukupiki. And you're like, whoa, I never have heard of Kukupiki. It sounds like Bigfoot.
If you think about it, like before we started doing the podcast, we knew Bigfoot and Sasquatch and Yeti.
That's just 3.
Yeah, but
now we know like 75 different terms for Bigfoot.
I mean, and 67 of them were in this episode.
True.
But yeah, it is fascinating, and it adds a little bit of context to, I think, the stories when you hear the local names for these things. Like Alaska's kind of boring in a lot of ways. The wild man or the bushman.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've heard other stories from Alaskan natives that have different names.
Sure.
So, I don't know.
So that means that they definitely exist, everyone. They definitely exist. So, I guess that's it.
No, I want to share one more story like I did last week.
What?
So, and I mentioned it to you a little bit about today.
Uh-huh.
Guy I talked to just out of the blue starts talking about Kushtaka.
Yeah. Nice. You actually pronounced it right.
And I'm like, I didn't tell him
You're a wildly popular podcaster that happens to deal with these subjects?
Yeah, I didn't tell him at that point, but he kept talking about because he was up in the villages way up north near the Arctic Sea, and he'd become friends with a village elder. Like the elder was like 70 or 80, and he didn't know she was an elder when he first met her. He just helped her out, and so she liked him a lot.
Hell yeah.
And they were talking about that, and he was telling me he has these pictures of these spirits that he saw up in his property up there, because he has a cabin way up in the middle of nowhere, which people have heard that before. But when you go into the northern parts of Alaska, you really are. There's some villages here and there and a lot of nothing.
You really are nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully he wants to send them to us.
I mean, hey, if we receive them by the time this episode comes out, then someone remind me and I will post them. But
I'll see him again, and now that we've talked about this. Once somebody talks to me about this, they usually come back and talk more.
Yeah. Like, I need to get this off my chest. Where's that weed guy? Where's that guy at the pot store?
Yeah.
Hey.
And another guy tells me about all the UFOs he sees out there, and I tell him about the one Juicy, and
there you go.
Eventually he might take us out in the middle of nowhere to see some of these.
Well, that's how we end up dead. But yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive, you know?
We'll take his dog. He has a big, mean-looking dog, but it's so cute
We'll
and nice.
Take his dog? So we're going to take this man's dog where he's going to take us out in the middle of nowhere and kill us.
He's not going to kill us. He's a good guy.
Okay, yeah. Hey, if you say so. Yeah, that's what... the one good thing about most serial killers is everyone thought they were really bad guys. No one was ever like, yeah, he seemed like perfectly cool guy. He seemed great.
They've only said that about one or two serial killers.
Yeah. And we are, I guess, in a place where there would probably be maybe a few serial killers.
There was one famous one.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
No, that's not Alaska.
Turns out. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end. And we have actually been wanting to start ending episodes abrupt.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong. It's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Your name is Christian. Your name ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely, 'cause they believe in you.